Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a horror movie review and I'll be having a look at The Bell Witch Haunting. And this is the 2013 version of it, because I know there has been multiple versions of this actual subject matter. So to give you a bit of insight of what the actual Bell Witch is, in case you haven't heard of it, this is actually apparently based on an actual factual haunting. Now this actual film is a fictional tale, but there is actually a legend of the Bell Witch. And it's actually an American legend, so here in the UK, some people may not hear about it. So to give you a very brief summary of what that is before I actually get into the actual film, apparently there was a farmer, I think it was John Bell, I believe his name was, he bought a farm, and one day he kind of shot this kind of strange looking animal, it had a rabbit's head and a dog's body, and then basically since that period of time, strange things start to happen. There was hauntings and kind of stuff going on with his family, and they kind of gradually progressed and got a lot worse until ultimately ended up killing him. So, cut to this film, and there's actually been a few films on kind of that legend, and that was in the early 1800s. But this one's actually based in contemporary times. It's a found footage film. Now, believe it or not, this one's actually made by Asylum Films, those crafty mockbuster merchants. So what we've got here, we've got a kind of young family, two adults and kind of two young teenagers move into this new house, and apparently it's actually built on the actual property of what used to be the John Bell estate. And as you'd expect in this sort of thing, the initial part of the film was kind of a little bit of setup, really kind of getting to know the characters and stuff, and then ultimately sort of strange things start to happen. Being a found footage film, there's lots of examples of you know, people having sort of filming stuff. A lot of people are sort of doing vlogs and things like that, and you know, you're sort of seeing strange stuff sort of starting to happen in the background and whatnot, and it kind of gradually kind of ramps up until we get to the kind of the violent finale. So I won't go too much into it in case of spoilers, but I will say this: there's going to be a couple of minor spoilers. The Asylum, the company renowned for mockbusters, renowned for producing absolute balls, I've got to be honest. However, this actual film I thought was quite a good step up in the right direction for sort of a better quality of filmmaking. Let's talk about the effects first of all. I mean, being a found footage film, it's kind of sparse, but the effects that you do see, I actually think are relatively effective for the budget. And this is obviously going to be a low budget film, but from what they've done with the money, pretty decent, I've got to say. I mean, you see kind of very sort of things in it very quickly, and a flash, shaky cam, stuff like that. But from what you do see, you're not kind of laughing, thinking, "Oh my god, that's some terrible effects right there." I mean, I've seen plenty of these Asylum films, and you know, a lot of them, the CGI stuff is crap, because you kind of see it so quickly, or at the kind of corner of your eye. I think it looks a little bit more effective. It actually does have some quite creepy moments in it, and there are some sort of jump scares. So if you're not a fan of jump scares, you're probably not going to, you know, be too much of a fan about this. Now, first of all, in regards to the criticisms, I want to take some kind of minor ones, and I've kind of got one big one, which is a fairly big one. So the minor ones first, and this is kind of, you might say it's maybe nitpicking to a certain degree. The acting, I thought maybe was a little bit wooden here and there. In the beginning, we kind of sort of get the characters a little bit, and they kind of, especially the dad, I'd have to say, is possibly the worst acting. The way he sort of delivers lines, it just sounds like he's kind of reading lines, if you kind of know what I mean. And also the actual dialogue, what's actually said, isn't particularly good either. I will say, on the flip side of that, when you see these people, when they're kind of being attacked by these sort of forces and they're screaming, especially the young girl, the sort of teenage daughter, she does do some really sort of blood-curdling screams. So, and you do kind of get the real sense of terror. So I will say, in regards to the sort of the actual reacting to the kind of stuff that's going on, the acting wasn't too bad there. It's just really the delivery of the dialogue and the kind of talking sequence, I don't think it's particularly good. And then there's a few plot points here that I kind of weren't a huge fan of. Now, the young son, starts to think maybe something's going on. So he installs a whole bunch of security cameras in the house. Now, my first problem with that is, where the hell's he got these security cameras from? And they're infrared ones, like, you know, or sort of night vision ones. And, you know, we're not really told how he's managed to get hold of these night vision cameras. The other thing that kind of annoys me is that none of the other sort of occupants of the house seem to mind. I mean, he's put one in his sister's room, and let's be honest, if you're a kind of an older sister and your young brother put a camera in your room, you ain't going to be a big fan, are you? So I don't think that was a particularly good idea. It was just there to kind of serve the story ultimately. The other, I guess, minor complaint you could say is there's something that happens with all of these sort of found footage films, or at least a good portion of them, is there's why these people's filming in these sort of situations, and you know, stuff happens, and of course, you know, mainly the young son's kind of running in with his video camera, you know, filming all these situations, and in some respect, you think, why is it that people would be filming in this kind of instance? Now that can be said about the whole sort of found footage genre to a certain degree. There are a couple of exceptions where I think maybe certain films have got a reason to it. I mean, Grave Encounters, because it's a, you know, documentary film crew, I can kind of forgive that. But this one, it maybe pushes it a little bit where you think, and there's a scene at the end, I won't go into too much about what it is, but you just think, why have you sat there filming this? Anyway, now for the major criticism, and it's actually related to what I've just said. There's actually quite a lot of actually strange stuff that happens in this film, and quite a lot of stuff that's actually caught on camera. And no one seems to actually review this footage, and you'll see sort of certain things happen, and they've captured it on film, and they've realised they've captured it on film, but no one seems to sort of bat an eyelid about it the next day, just kind of forgotten about. There's one scene, for example, just to give you one, there's a scene where the daughter's kind of got a friend, you know, staying over, and the bed sheets kind of lift up and then almost sort of come down and try to sort of smother them, and she's screaming at everyone, and everyone's kind of woken up, and you know, the son's put a security camera in the bedroom, so he's caught it. Why hasn't he looked at, why wouldn't you look at the footage? And then you would see something would be going on. But there's a lot of instances where that's going on, where stuff is caught on camera, and you think, oh man, you know, they've discovered it, and then they just seem to ignore it. And to me, that's a really, really major plot point that kind of just so irritated me, because it just kept happening and happening and happening. And it's not really until probably the last 10 minutes of the film that people actually start to sort of cotton on that something's actually not right here. Not also to kind of like really compound the fact, there's a hell of a lot of people actually get killed in this film that are kind of related to the family or kind of friends of the family, that sort of thing. And again, no one really kind of cottons on that all this sort of strange stuff that's sort of happening in the film, in the you know, in the time that they spent in this house, kind of relates to it. So that's a bit of a downer, because this was actually quite a good effort from the asylum, I have to say. Now you can kind of watch it and kind of just ignore that if you want, and just watch it for the scares, and I guess you'll kind of get away, you know, you can get something out of it like that. And it is a fairly effective film in kind of delivering those sort of like fright moments and scares to a certain degree. However, when you kind of factor in these plot points that kind of really did bug me a little bit, it makes it a bit of a disappointment in regards to what could have been on this film. Nevertheless, I have to say this is an improvement for film quality for the asylum, and I'm hoping we're going to kind of maybe get a little bit more sort of high quality films going forward. I mean, I just hope their writing really needs to sort of improve first and foremost. I think that's the problem here, is the actual script about what happened. It just doesn't make some sense into a certain degree. However, I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. I think it was a good improvement from their previous efforts, and it does deliver some reasonable scares. So if you're kind of a fan of the found footage film, if you can kind of get away from maybe some of the sort of the logical things that maybe this one throws up, then and you just want it for some scares, you may get a kick out of it. So 6.5 for me. What did you think of it? Leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.